Byron Katie, what is love?
It is the absence of suffering. It's to be connected with everyone and everything.
What blocks humans from love?
Oh, it's an ego going, I want, I need, you should, you shouldn't. And if you abide by all my rules, then I love you. And if you slip, then I take it personally. And it means you don't love me. I take your actions personally. How crazy is that?
Byron Katie, thank you for being here. Thank you for making time for this.
Oh gosh, it's just always so good to be with you, Aaron.
I I wanted to start off with a light lift of a question and ask, is evil real? Is
No,
what is evil? What is the concept of evil?
life as we or another human being as we imagine them to be. We all know right from wrong. It's like guilt is the gift that lets us know, but we can always, you know, just go back, admit it, apologize, start over, life. We're all students here. You know, I'm not the teacher. Life just kind of shows me where to go.
What is at the root of every person? If there was a way to put into language the root of the essence of a
Love,
person, how do you describe that?
love, anything that goes against that feels like stress.
Hmm.
It's the ego's power over us, it's distressful. It is the maker of stress. Leads us into, a false identification of our true nature. The ego is something that can justify any behavior. And when it's being so kind and beautiful, it wants someone to see it, talk about it, pass it on. It's just, the ego's world. It's fascinating. It's something that I've come to love. It's like an immature child going, look at me, I know," and it's to be understood and open to, and to believe our thoughts is our stressful thoughts. To believe them is it's kind of a magical thing. It's a state of mind the ego requires for us to identify as I am the one, talking to Aaron now. And I'm the one sitting in this chair. I.
How do we differentiate thoughts from truth?
One is stressful, one is not.
A feeling.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Authenticity is I don't know why people fear it other than, we um we want to be seen and understood and seen as good and kind or right or whatever we're seeking from others opinion of us, just falling into that identity of what we think that looks and sounds like. I'm so understanding, Aaron, and I am just so, da 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 da, all of that, so that you will see me in a specific way. And at the same time, you could be thinking, she is so full of it. What? And I think you're just so enamored, because I'm so enamored with my routine, whatever the ego is perpetuating beyond what is integrity.
Hmm.
It's,
You
it's that thing just to live as I am enough, and people don't have to see that. This is my life.
do you consider yourself to be enlightened?
I'm enlightened to what hurts and what doesn't, Aaron.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I don't fool myself about that.
Yeah. How often do you experience kind of sticky emotions or resistances or contractive sensations or sensations of kind of old remnants of like, I remember this, and this is bringing up some like discomfort within myself. How often do you experience that within yourself? And what do you do when
Mm,
you do experience that, assuming that you do?
mm, mm. Um, if I experience within myself, I notice automatically, as a result of just sitting in the practice of self-inquiry, I notice automatically on the cause of, let's say, the cause of my suffering and how to end it. And and then I can always say, you know what I said, Aaron? It just wasn't true, and I wanted you to see me as wise. You know,
Mm-hmm.
just to like, if I lay a track and it's not authentic, to take care of that track, to take care of that track, because that track is an internal tape, and it creates my identity. So keeping those tracks, clean along the road.
Yeah, and if the track is not doesn't come into resonance or alignment with integrity, it will maintain a sound. Like it will, it will keep on making a sound. It will keep on crying until it's addressed. And if a person has a higher, for every one of those strands of, where they were lacking integrity in some capacity or lacking authenticity or truth, does a person need to retroactively go back and address those? Or how do we clean the mirror? How do we clean the
Well,
vase?
we know what's we know, if if I want you to see me in a specific way, which is special, special, special way, then what am I saying and doing that would manipulate that? And so if you see me as a marvelous person, I can never believe you or respect it, because I was manipulating I was manipulating, I was bringing forward an identity that isn't mine. It's who I would imagine you,
Loving,
yeah, yeah, that you would appreciate, care about.
respect.
Yeah, respect. Uh-huh. For some of us, that just becomes a way of life. We don't even know the difference. It's just a way of life with us, and we don't understand why we want to grab that ice cream at night, or the thing we said we're not going to eat that week, or to it's we don't know what to do with this fake self that we live with. And so addiction will kick in to shift our mind from the kind of guilt or lack of self-love that we seem to live out of sometimes.
If we were to strip away all of the accoutrement of modern life and the clothes that you wear and the cars that you drive and the profession that you have and the story that you have of yourself, what is at the core root of what each individual is seeking?
I need, I don't ever want to. They should, they shouldn't. I need.
But
Yeah.
underneath the I want and I need, like what is like the foundational, actual,
Survival,
genuine needs?
the ego survival as I am Byron Kathleen sitting with my friend Aaron, identity. And the ego doesn't sleep. I am the one sitting in the chair. I had coffee this morning. Oops. I.
What is that protecting? If that's
Well,
kind of like a veil or some type of arm ring, what is that protecting?
it continues to give ego, which is a word for mind, which is a term for nothing you can prove or touch.
Hmm.
It's an illusion. It's I walked with my grand dogs this morning, and you saw an image of that. And 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 yeah, life is imagined.
Hmm.
Did you hear me say life is imagined?
I heard you say
It's
life is
a
imagined.
dream. Catch up with yourself. So once we understand life's a dream and there is no past or future we can prove, and there is no now, it's, I mean, like an infant when it's born into the world, it doesn't have to think, I am. I am. It does that, that's not until that baby begins to believe. And the moment the baby believes, identification is being born. And we see the baby and we name the baby and we think the baby's marvelous, but the baby doesn't exist to the baby until it identifies as I, until it's egoed, we could say. And it's not right or wrong. It's a way of being born into this world that I refer to as Earth School.
What would be if
Waking
you
up to the
were,
gift of life.
you have kids, don't you?
Hmm.
How
I
old?
have, I have kids, Aaron. I have kids that are in their 60s.
You have, okay, you have adults. You have how many kids do you have?
Three.
Okay.
Three in their 60s.
All right. And do you have grandchildren as well?
Yes, yeah, all five of them.
If you were raising a child, or if a person is raising a child, how could they best rear the child or bring the child into the world and cultivate a healthy relationship with their personality and their identity and their ego and their I, while also maintaining access to deeper truth and sensation of,
Hmm.
you know,
I wouldn't teach it any way other than the way that I live and communicate with them and respect them and support them. And I just respect their path. And if I'm on mine, then they've got a good teacher.
where do you think we go challenged instead of wrong, because right and wrong doesn't exist, but where do you think that we create obstacles and challenges for the way that modern culture, at least in the United States, from what you witness, raises children? And we set them up for a life where they're going to have to maybe unwind some of what they learned at some point as an adult, if they do want to come into like a more self-actualized version of themselves.
You mean if I'm a parent and I want that for my children, how would I?
How do we jack our kids up and kind of tie them in knots that they have to unwind eventually if they want to, kind of.
Oh, my goodness, disrespect them,
Hmm.
push them beyond what they're open to without knowing to kind of back off and give them their own space and watch how quickly they want to please us and they're doing their best. So they'll hop into it and sometimes just shock us,
Hmm.
but not to assume that they're unteachable.
Hmm.
But the way I teach my children, it's never too late, is to live our best life without it being at the expense of any other human being.
Is that the same in relationship, like romantic relationship? How do we
Uh-huh.
how do we jack up our romantic partners in relationship in the way that we perhaps project ideas upon them or
Oh, love
manipulate
them.
the situation in
Yeah,
ways they
just
might
to
not even
love
realize?
them. Yeah, for me, it's like I love Stephen, my husband. I love Stephen, and I don't expect him to love me back. It's just not necessary for me to love him. This is not a barter system.
That's good.
If you love me, then I'll love you. If you don't love me, then I don't love. That's crazy.
How would you feel if Stephen came to you today and genuinely told you, "I'm not in love with you anymore. I'm gonna move on. It's just I had a I did some
I would
ayahuasca,
I
had a
would
moment. I gotta go."
Knowing me, I would probably just say, "Oh, tell me everything. It sounds exciting. I may want to go with you."
He's like, "Nope, you can't come along. I'm out of here."
Okay, I'd say, well, if you can, please stay in touch. I want a daily report.
Nope, I'm not staying in touch. I'm out. I'm really out. I gotta go. Something's changed.
Oh,
Something's changed.
honey, I love that for you. And if you ever need me, I'm here.
Really? That wouldn't hit you. That wouldn't get you.
Oh, not if I love Stephen, and I do, and I'm pretty sure that I'd support him in that. I mean, what is love? That's love. That's love.
What is
I only
love?
love you if you stay with me.
What is Byron Katie? What is love?
What is love? What is love? It is the absence of suffering. It's to be connected with everyone and everything.
What blocks humans from love?
Oh, it's an ego going, I want, I need, you should, you shouldn't. And if you abide by all my rules, then I love you. And if you slip, then I take it personally. And it means your slip means you don't love me. I take your actions personally. I mean, how crazy is that?
So is it control that blocks love because of fear of losing love?
Give me an example of what you might mean by that.
If I'm saying I'll love you under this particular condition, but you can't do that and you can't do this, and applying all these different rules, probably what that would be an indication of is that the person is trying to make rules because they feel unsafe without the rules.
Mhm.
And so that would probably be rooted in some type of fear, I would think.
Yeah, 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 I agree with that. Yeah, with Stephen and my children and my grandchildren, and I just respect their points of view, and I'm a good listener. And I notice myself not judging in my mind, just being very open to their lives without judgment. And I have grandchildren in college. I have grandchildren married. I have, all these little walks of lives that are so beautiful, and I can't find fault with any of them. They're living their best lives. I think everyone is living their best life as when we all look to ourselves about what are we thinking and believing. I'm too tired. I can't do it today. I'll do it tomorrow, and tomorrow comes and I can't do it today. And, putting life off. It's not right or wrong. It's just on other than what we're thinking and believing, we're all really we can all appreciate the gift of life.
How important is being in alignment with one's purpose to be able to garner or access the energy that you're talking about?
Yeah. So to be very honest with you, it is for example, just to be where I am right now, talking to you with nothing else in the world going on. It's just I'm focused, I'm in, and I'm not trying to be. I'm just, and you see the smile on my face and that one on yours. It's a good life.
Is there such a thing as dharma or one's highest calling, or is it just dharmas and callings and you kind of stumble into a path that feels resonant and you go with it?
So what is the definition of Dharma?
I don't know exactly. I think the definition of dharma is like your life's purpose. Like it's like you're living out your work, like your soul's work, like your soul
Yeah.
contract.
Okay, so that doesn't have anything to do with my past or future. It shows up right here,
Hmm.
right here with you. This is my life's purpose, and I'm happy in it. And if I weren't, I'd say, Aaron, shut down the recorder, honey. There's something I want to tell you, and I just didn't want to do it on the air, and I need to hang up now. Because life is, we're not trapped in any situation, it's just, I'm just delighted to be here with you. And I've got grandkids and kids and granddogs and Stephen out there, and here I am, a little of this, a little of that, happy to be here in this world.
How important is planning and projecting oneself into the future and kind of creating path?
For me, it's how can I help? And, um, and I can't go wrong there.
Do you project yourself into the future often and make plans? And if I do this, then this, and if I do that, then that? Or is it mostly based on feel of how this feels now, like a metal detector, just kind of going across the beach and how this
Well,
feels true?
to imagine myself in the future is it's unnecessary. It happens on its own. Like I'm going to walk into town today, and And I see me walking, just don't know if it's true or not, but I'm delighted at the thought. Who knows? Could be.
What do you think of manifestation, the concept of manifestation, Katie?
What, tell me about manifestation. Like you invited me to hang out, and I was an oh, absolutely, yeah, and happy about that. And so together we've manifested time together.
That would be one version of manifestation. The other version would be like, have you seen like the movie The Secret, for example?
And
The documentary,
I think
whatever.
I heard a portion of it. Uh-huh.
Okay. I feel like you'd probably be in The Secret, but so the concept of manifestation, like the bigger one that's more of a stretch for some more like scientific minds, would be that I can visualize a certain reality and bring myself into alignment and resonance with the state that I would be in that reality, and I
Well,
become
that's
an
just like thinking, me thinking, I, I need to go to the grocery store today. I'm going to the grocery store today and doing it. I've manifested groceries or, or something. Maybe I'm missing
but
something
can
here.
I, but can, so the bigger concepts, it's a harder stretch for some people, would be that I can create a certain like resonance in a sense within myself to become an attractor for those things that I desire. Or are we living, does that, what do you think? That would be like the concept of like you are an attractor for the things that you kind of send signals out to.
Really honest with you, authentic with you. It's, um, I have what I want. And if I were out in the desert with no food, no water, no direction as to how to get out of that desert, um, why am I not, why am I not happy?
Hmm.
It's what I'm thinking and believing that would frighten me, and I'm talking about a real, this isn't a, I'm talking about the way I have lived and experienced, in the desert with no way out, no sense of direction, lost,
Hmm.
and never lost, always found I always was where I was. And by some grace, my feet knew the way out. But there was no fear there. There was just there was just trust, and trust without need to trust.
Are there examples?
Manifestation, Aaron, if I want more than I've got, then I have left what I've got in the dust like it was nothing.
Right.
This is something. This life is something. If we don't have a home, we do.
Yeah.
We have a home in this world, and it can look pretty scary sometimes. And that's why I do what I do. I offer inquiry. The option of identifying, questioning the thoughts that we're believing that would cost us the gift of life. Cost us meaning leave us with a lack of appreciation and not enough. And
Okay.
and that's handicapping because we can't see what we do have in that want of what we don't have.
Yeah, it can feel, I feel like there's a book called The Spirit, I think it's called The Spirit of Money. That's that one of the things that it talks about that in that book that I appreciate is exactly what you're saying of it's very important to value and respect everything that you have
Yeah.
presently. And then
Mhm.
from there, allow whatever is to be. But I think if it's almost feels like an entitled child type mentality to be running the programming that I will be happy when. Meanwhile, you're fed and you're healthy and you have a home and you live in a place where you're free to communicate and connect and have like so much access to so many gifts, but you're
Mm.
still running this kind of stubborn, entitled software system that I will be happy when. And I feel
Oh,
like in some ways, like that software is like the universe. If the universe had some consciousness, like father, motherly consciousness, I feel like I might have a sensation if I were the universe, father, mother, universe. I might be like, I don't think you deserve more right now until you can come to appreciation for what you have. What do you think about that?
Just to want what I have, and if I want more, I'll ask or go earn.
How often, if ever, have you worked with or had someone come to one of your events or something of the sort that has a story of something in their life that is very painful, that the work has not been successful in reframing for them? Does that happen?
I can't say that it has or hasn't. Only each individual can know that themselves.
Sure.
Um, and what I offer is self-inquiry, and
Mm.
and um, and and self-inquiry is not, it's not something we can invite people to to do self-inquiry, but we don't never, I don't have a way of understanding that they have dropped in and understood something, or if they're guessing at
Mm-hmm.
these questions, guessing what the right answers are would please me, or or that the right answer is supposed to be. Self-inquiry is it's mind-blowing. Takes a lot of courage, because it's questioning the ego, and the ego is very clear about who and what I am
Mm-hmm.
put in my life. But to question what I'm thinking and believing, it's a big deal. It shifts identity, and the ego doesn't go along with that well.
Mm-hmm.
It wants to, it it doesn't, when you're asleep at night and you're not dreaming, do you exist at all? And then there's some point where I am awake. I I'm getting up this morning. I can't get up this morning. Whatever is rolling. It's just that ego. It doesn't sleep, even though it sounded like, I mean, no ego, no world, Aaron.
How, if a person feels, so say a person is coming out of a relationship and they have this story that's a burden to them, that I was betrayed,
Mm.
and it's a story that they rehearse, and like, how do you guide a person through reframing that story in a way that feels
Well,
integrated or love?
I'd have them fill in a judge your neighbor worksheet on that that betrayal, and then we would sit through that. But if I thought I was betrayed, let's say Stephen was unfaithful to me, and I found out about it, and and I can, am I betrayed? To me, that would not be right. Stephen has his own life. And so loving Stephen, I'd want to know what his experience was, and what was that like for him. And I just, I would just respect his life. I don't own him. And as it happens, he's very monogamous and dedicated to our relationship, and and I'm so grateful for that, and just blows my mind. But if he had an affair with someone else, I'd want to know all the details. I want to know about his happiness. I want to know maybe what he specifically loves about her. Maybe he could get it from both camps. I don't know. I love Stephen, and I love he's monogamous, because I'm a selfish human being. It's like, oh, he's mine, all mine, yay! But as long as he's happy with that, oh my goodness, does that work well for both of us?
How do you, a person, there's like the Palestine Israel stuff happening. And
Mhm.
if you were to talk to a person, probably from either place, I live in Miami, there's a lot of Jewish people out here, I've noticed. And something that I've witnessed and observed is there's a significant amount of charge around many of the Jewish people that I've talked to. And it's something that I don't really understand. And I've noticed some like reactivity and charge and like me trying to kind of poke around and like understand where all the charge is coming from. I've noticed it go into directions of like emotional responses and kind of like, okay, I'm interested. There's like a very heavy charge here that I don't fully understand.
And
When
a
there's
charge on what? In what aspect?
a charge in the sense of like the person has a lot, there's a lot of deep seated emotion, like very charged, highly charged emotion, like, and that
Having to do with what?
the idea that my people are experiencing a genocide or experiencing something of the sort, and there's a lot of emotion in that. How would the work apply to a conversation with someone like in that circumstance where they feel like the people that they identify with are amidst a genocide? How does the work support them to be able to find love and alignment and freedom in?
Give give me a scenario so I can more um, track you in the scenario, so I'm more able to answer your question.
Screw those people, they killed my family and I'm angry and I want to kill them.
And so I would to sit with that person. It's you want to kill them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they need to die. they're
Is it?
trying to they're trying to
Is,
they're trying to kill my entire, anyone that's under my religion. They've been doing this for
yeah,
thousands of years. Like they need to die. I'm so angry.
yeah. So they need to die. Is it true? That's where I would take them
Mm-hmm.
and notice how you react. What happens when you believe the thought that they need to die? You want to kill them. And notice in that same situation, who would you be without the thought, I want them to die. I want to kill them. And then I would invite you, having sat with you as you meditated in those 4 questions, I'd invite you to turn it around. They need to die. I want to kill them. Turned around. They don't need to die. I don't need to kill them. And then I'd ask you for examples of do you see another way? How might there be another way? Just assuming there is another way, what that might be. And then I would wait for you to ponder that and wait to hear what you see. And and if you offered up any argument, I'd just say thank you for that, and go back to, that where we were. There's another way, what that might be. And and um, and then they need to die. Turned around, I need to die, and and my thoughts about that situation need to die, and try all these on, not as another way of being right, but just what's inside of us, self-inquiry. It's without boundaries. When the massacre happened in Israel with all the young people, on there were some people in Ojai that flew all of them into Ojai, and I had the privilege of working with them, and and they were amazing. Their mind was wide open, as traumatized as some of them were. Their mind was their mind was so open to self-inquiry, which is another way of saying they were so open to forgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
without even calling it forgiveness. Self-inquiry allows us to get in touch with our kindest, saner self. Other than what we're thinking and believing, this is a wonderful world, and it's looking really weird these days. And I'm looking out the window, and there are trees and sky, and my friend Aaron here on the screen, and it's it's you know it's a beautiful world, but only in reality. But a bomb could go off, and I didn't miss the good part. It's so some of us are fearful throughout our whole lives, and self-inquiry is it gives us a freedom that I certainly could not give another human being. I don't know a human being that can. But the gift of self-inquiry, how to deal with life through our own deeper understanding and connection with that. That's what self-inquiry brings forth. So I rather than like I'm open to answers like politicians and debaters and left and right, and but what do I think? What do I think? And to know what I think, self-inquiry, find a wrong someone who believes against my values, and to question my thoughts about that person or that group of people wakes me up to who and what I am and connects me with those people. I don't have to agree with their methods, but it wakes me up to why they might see life the way they see it, and I respect that. My life isn't about changing the way people see the world. I leave that to each person I work with, and respectfully.
Is there anything that's unforgivable?
Well, in my world, no, because I look at like the biggest, let's say, sinner in the world, or mad man or woman in the world, and with the understanding, not pretending to have the understanding, but with the understanding that if I believed what they believed, how could I not do the same?
Sure.
So when we listen to our politicians and the way of the world, and people that have ideas, other people that have ideas you may not agree with, it's good to have that understanding, like in our bones and our cells, that they're innocence. And it doesn't mean that it's not cruel what they are saying and doing. It's not to excuse it. It's just that seriously, if I believed what they believed, how could I not do the same? How
Yeah.
could I not?
Yeah.
So that levels the field. That levels the field for me. So I continue to do what I do, which is offer self-inquiry to people. And of course, it's always free on thework.com. It's not something I can give. I can give the questions, but I can't give the enlightenment.
And that doesn't mean that you need to invite that person to your house and have dinner with them and
No,
date them
no,
and drive them around in your car and keep in
no.
contact and text message them. That just
Yeah,
means that you can forgive and release. But any
yeah.
bit of lack of forgiveness or contraction or hatred or anything that you hold
Mhm.
is only a toxic mm, idea that
Yeah.
manifests itself into something that what is disease in the body?
What is disease in the body? It's life. It's alive. Disease, and we try to kill it. And sometimes we're successful at it, sometimes we're not. But the fear of death, that's something to work with, or the fear of pain. And what I love about this Earth School is that even physical pain is either remembered or anticipated. There's nothing that's not. So do we exist at all? And I'm not a champion of that idea. It's simply self-inquiry can take us, it can answer questions for us if we meditate in those questions, sitting in silence, pondering those four questions and turnarounds that I offer people that I refer to as the work. It's for each of us to determine what's right and what's wrong, rather than believing other people. What do we really think for ourselves? And what is kindness?
How does anger, resentment, and emotions that are kind of, feel a little bit more contractive in nature, how does that physically show up in one's life or in one's body?
Oh, it can be a very emotional thing, which affects blood flow, affects digestion, it affects personality, what we're thinking and believing. And like I'll say a word right now and don't give it a picture, okay? Lemon,
Dang it.
banana. You see it, you can't help it. Okay, so that's life. And if I invite you to bite into a big, juicy lemon right now, you feel it. It even has a physical effect. And nothing happened but imagination. Nothing. Nothing happened but an imagination. So, the way we react when we're believing our thoughts, this is Earth School. And it's anything that argues against what is beautiful and understandable, and life is a gift, and anything we believe against that feels like stress, and it creates war. It's the cause of war. So self-inquiry doesn't it's like it gives us something that the world can't teach us. It gives us our own opinion when we drop in and allow ourselves to meet those questions that I invite people to. The truth, and the truth that meets those questions that we can live by. It's not too tough. In fact, anything less than that is tough.
What inspires you these days? And also, is there any books or authors or people that you look up to?
I think people have beautiful minds and beautiful ways of expressing them. But of course, I love loving what is, and because it invites people to self-inquiry. You know, the books I'm fascinated by, Aaron, are as people sit in self-inquiry and the way they respond out of self-inquiry. Those are the books I love. They're reading their book and they're reading it to me. And every human being is really doing that. It's like, hi, my name is Byron Kathleen. Who are you? And they may say, who are you? Leave me the hell alone. Just follow the simple directions. It's pretty clear. Leave him the hell alone and just
Do you
have a
have
good life.
who has been your biggest role model or role models in your life?
My first response is everyone. But let's see. Hmm, hmm, hmm. There's so many people I love and respect in the world. You know, like you, for one, you're holding me in the air. I'm in this really weird position. I don't know what you're going to do with me next. You're going to throw me. What are you going to do?
Yeah, last
I
time
love you and respect you. I just had the best of times.
last time Katie and I recorded a podcast, I did acro yoga. with you. And
Oh
that's what
my
she's
God.
referring to right now. And so that's, yeah, you're very good. You're a very supple gal.
You're
You
very,
move
you're
well.
you're very full on. Oh God, that was just so much fun. See, I love the don't know. For all I know, you're gonna throw me across the room.
You did a really good job. Yeah, that was I was very that's something that I've like referred back to on several occasions of how much I appreciated you at the time. I don't know how old you were at the time, but you were I guess it was maybe what 4 years ago or something like that,
Yeah.
5 years ago or so. And yeah, you were game for that. It was a very like
Oh
adventurous
yeah.
thing that
Because I'm
many
80,
like
I'm 82 now, so
you're like 78 or something like that. Yeah.
yeah,
And you were very open to be like, yeah,
yeah.
pick me up, put me upside down, twist me
Yeah,
around.
when you
This will be
asked for
great.
the interview, I thought that's what we're going to do again at the center. Then
That'd
I
be
just,
cool. That'd be fun. What do you
okay.
see? What do you see when you look into a person's eyes?
Beauty,
Hmm.
magic. It's exciting,
Hmm.
and excitement's a feeling. But, oh, I love it so much, Aaron. Yeah. But it's funny, like so many people can't um, look you in the eye, which I wouldn't expect anyway. But I, I love it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, someone referred to it as the window of the soul. Maybe that's why. Maybe I just.
Yeah. How long have you had that experience of looking? Because I presume what we're seeing when we're looking into the eyes of another person is we're seeing a reflection back into ourselves. And if we're holding a cauldron of self judgment or hate or resentment towards anyone, ultimately that would act as a projection informing the way that we see the world around us. So it would be if you look into the eyes of another person and you see beauty and magic, it probably indicates that you've come into acceptance of the beauty and magic of yourself and the world because it's all the same thing. Is there a separation between the self and the world around the self?
No, the self is it's a standalone. It the self sees the world as the self imagines the world to be. So that's the world it's stuck with. And people either live their world or they fear it. And and I think that's the power of self-inquiry is we come to understand ourselves, and in that we come to understand the world. The world is, it just makes sense. The world is as, for example, the world is as I believe it to be, and that's so for all of us. So if I don't love the world, I I move my thoughts about the world to paper, and then I question those thoughts. Each thought, one belief, one thought at a time. And then it shows me how to live, to live myself the way I'd want the world to live. So it gives me directions. My judgments about the world, when I question them and I turn them around, then that leaves me to live as I would require the world to live. Well, it's pretty tough, for, like each ego thinks it knows what the perfect world would be, and the world would be better if, well, yeah, and in my case, it's to try that on and live it and see if it's so, not just to believe it prior to experience. Is it even possible to love the world? And and to love the world, I exchange interchange on like understand it to be on with experience to be and love.
Last question. What is God to you?
Everything without exception. God, good old dude.
Good old gal. Gog.
Good old gal, good
Good old
old dude.
gal. Love you, Gog.
Yeah, God for me is everyone and everything without exception. And the ego would call up exceptions, and that's what self-inquiry is all about, to test it, not to put us to sleep and come up with what we think the right answer might be, but the real deal, to judge God, for example, and question those judgments and turn them around and um, and understand more deeply what love is and yeah, God. My world, God is everything without exception.
Does the universe operate through the realm of an intelligence? And if so, is the intelligence benevolent in
Mm.
nature?
Benevolent intelligence. That's why when we think, say, feel, or do anything that goes against that feels like stress and guilt. And that's the beauty of guilt, when we think against our hearts, against our true nature, it feels like stress.
Mhm.
And what I invite people to do is notice what we're thinking and believing that would go against. For example, God is good, God is everything, without exception. And to question what we're thinking and believing about the world and the people and in it. Oh, sweetheart, if if this is just something again people can try on, if and turned it around and to fit themselves. It's like, if I believed what the worst person in the world, the most cruel person in the world, if I believed what they believe, how could I not do the same? How could I not be the same? That's very humbling. And to understand that when you're not at war with anyone or anything, what a gifted life. And self-inquiry can open us up to these things as real, not fiction, real and true by nature. To think against our heart or against that principle of love, um, is to feel stress. And that's, I refer to it sometimes as the little temple bell that says, wake up, you're asleep. What are you thinking? Don't just let it pass. Love making, sit in self inquiry with it, understand it on its own grounds, and yeah, what a great life.
And if the universe does have a benevolent nature to it, when a person is experiencing anxiety or fear or some form of like dis-ease within themselves, it
Hmm.
would be perhaps a nudge from that universal consciousness saying, you're a little off track, go this
Yeah,
way, and that will bring you to God. Is God something? What do you think of heaven and hell?
I think heaven is right-mindedness, meaning in tune with reality. And hell is to argue against reality. That
Mm-hmm.
would include earthquakes and war and divorce and one of our children dying, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
It's hell is a state of mind, and the way we live out of it can really affect and harm a lot of a lot of people, and we can justify it in some way, but no, we can't. No, we can't. Pain is pain.
What
Guilt
happens?
is guilt.
What happens to our consciousness when an individual transitions out of the body?
Well, I would question that they do. Like my mother died several years ago, and but she still lives in me. On on we're talking now, bring her up, and I can see an image of her in my head, and I can almost smell her, the kind of perfume she wore, and just oh my gosh, and it just it just brings her as close to me as if she were alive. And that sounds a little strange. It's like I can't touch her. I can't really, she's not really here. Well, yeah, she is. She is. Like when she was alive, if she was watering the lawn and I was in the bedroom and I imagined her in the kitchen or living room, and no, no, she's out. She's nowhere. She's not even in her home. She's outside. So I imagined her in the kitchen or I imagined her in the living room, but no, she was outside. And so, so in death, it's the same.
Hmm.
She comes to me and I imagine her, as we're talking now, in the living room, sitting in her favorite rocking chair in her 80s and and reading her New Yorker.
I love that. Well, Byron Katie, I really, I really appreciate you. I love you.
Oh, I love you
I
too,
appreciate.
Aaron. I love our time together. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's no censorship between the two of us. It's just wild and wonderful. And I love our time together, Aaron.
Yeah, I look forward to the next time, whenever that is.
I
Um,
do too.
is there anything else that we can or that you can leave with people? Is there anything that would be sweet to touch on? Is there anything that you have coming up that you could invite people to, or books or anything
Oh
like that?
gosh. Yeah, it's every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. People come, they hop in, we just all hop in together and everyone's welcome and we do self-inquiry.
Where is that? Is that like
Um,
thework.com?
uh-huh.
Oh, cool.
Mhm.
Sweet, sweet.
Yeah.
And you also have your free worksheet where people can go through
Oh,
the inquiry at
always.
thework.com.
That's always on the work.com. And I have a podcast. Yeah.
I know that. That's fun.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It is. Um, yeah, I love it. People bring it to my attention occasionally. We haven't been at it too long, but
Yeah. What is
um,
it? What is it called?
um, I think I think the work with Byron Katie. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up.
I love that. All right. Well, amazing. Is it do you with the podcast? Is it you talking? Do you like working with people?
Yeah, it's
How
me working with people. It's
I love
it's
that. That's cool.
it's the people that I work with Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday that all pop in,
I see.
and yeah, and with their permission, we pop them onto that
That's fun. I love that.
podcast.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. It is a pleasure.
Oh,
I
appreciate you too, Aaron. Thank you for your good work.
yeah. All right.
Oh, I love you deeply, and thank you for being so flexible with our time together
Oh, no
today.
worries. No worries. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I look forward to next time. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. That is it. That is all. I'll see you all next week.